somehow I knew that God had never stopped talking to me, and I knew that He was still the same God that I had worshiped all my life. He was going to get me out of this, and He was going to get me through it. And some angel, I have a pretty good idea of who it was, got me out of that sanitarium. God has restored my mind. We were married almost 40 years ago. He's blessed us with a good business, 2 good businesses. He's blessed us with 4 hangars. We both fly. He's restored my mind. I taught English as a second language at the University of Tulsa for 15 years. He's given me a gift of music. He's done all sorts of things. And so I'm here to tell you that He can take what it seems like a hopeless situation and turn it to good. And God is a good God. He never leaves you. He never forsakes you. Praise God.
Well, Sandy is definitely a beautiful person. I met her a couple of years after she had got out of the institution. And one of the things that didn't go so good after that was that after she was out a while, the insurance ran out, and we had lived a couple of years in a pretty nice apartment, and she had to be put under, I don't know, some organization here in Tulsa, and it was taken away from the psychiatrists and the ones that have been prescribing her medicine. And I'm just telling you this, that I hope that you understand that when things go bad and they turn out good, then bad may come back. But as we were going through life there, and we had to move out of that apartment, move into an old farmhouse, didn't have a bathroom inside. It was just an outside bathroom, and didn't have running water. We had finally gotten electricity there, and we were going through a time of where this other institution started prescribing all kinds of drugs and medicine and more expensive drugs, and they were just drug people. And my precious Sandy that I had known at one time became a person I didn't know again because they had so drugged her, and she became dependent upon those drugs. And after a time, one day I came to a point of I just couldn't take it anymore. I would take her to the Grand Canyon, or I'd take her to places on vacation, and she wouldn't even remember being there. And so I called her psychiatrist, and I said, will I ever know my wife again as a person? And he said, no. She'll always be that way. I hung up the phone, and I just couldn't believe what he had told me. And so I started, I had just gone into business, and I started to call. I called every drug rehabilitation place in Oklahoma that I could think of. And I said, I want to get my wife off of these prescription drugs. And they say, sure, we can do that. They say, who's your doctor? Who's her doctor, or who's her psychiatrist? And I would give them that name, and they would say, I'm sorry, we can't help you. And I couldn't imagine what was going on, and I don't know to this day why they would change when I would tell them who he was. But anyway, I determined in my mind that I was going to get this wonderful person that I once knew back again. And through the mercy of God, and I didn't have that intelligence, I didn't know what to do, but I got me a brown paper sack, and I gathered up the drugs and almost filled a brown paper grocery sack with drugs. because he had given her stuff and then take her off of that and put her on others, and she's had all kinds of stuff. And I took it and I hid it. But one of the things I had to be careful about was Sandy had, before this, had overdosed, and we'd had to pump her stomach. And so I knew that I couldn't leave them in the house when I was gone, so I hid them. And what I did was, if they said, give her 4 of these a day, I started out giving her 3. And there was a whole list of those medicines, but I just took 1 pill out of each one of the daily doses. And that went on until it went down to 0, when I was giving her no more drugs. And God, in his own mercy and love, brought back my wife that I once knew. And for 30 some odd years now, we have been enjoying life in a way that is heaven on earth. Because not only that did he give her back, but he blessed our businesses to prosper in such a way that, well, I'm almost ashamed to say sometimes how he has blessed us. He has just given us everything that you could possibly imagine, or we could possibly imagine. And the thing that is always mystifying to me is he gave me things that I never had even thought of before. So he gives us, he gives us life, but he gives us life more abundantly.
You see, God has a dream and a plan and a vision for each of us. In their companies today, they pray with all their employees. They have devotions in these corporations. They made up their mind that they would honor God. And so now, people that are working in factory, the power of God's coming on them. God had that purpose and plan long before, but the enemy sent something to destroy it. And it's important for you to know God's vision and plan for you is that through your work, through your home, through the church you're in, through the school that you're involved in, he wants to flow his healing, to rebuild, to restore, to work transformation in the lives of others. Sandy was sitting in a service many years ago as they started coming, and one of the things she shared in her testimony and at another time was, as we were talking about forgiveness, she began to realize she needed to let go of all that had happened. She forgave the man that had abused her and committed her into an institution and really intended for her to never get out. He did not notify anyone where she was. And that's why she went 3 months without hearing a human voice and being in almost an unthinkable environment. But she chose to forgive that person. And do you know, when you choose to forgive, healing begins to flow in you like a mighty river. When you won't forgive, you're holding back mercy, then it's difficult for mercy to come to you. But when you give mercy toward others, then mercy comes flooding into your life. And it's the mercy of the Lord that keeps us from being consumed and destroyed. Habakkuk 2 and 3 says, write the vision down. I want to encourage you. Whatever God has spoken to you, what's in your heart, write it down. Make it plain, because there's a day coming, you're going to read it and run with that vision. You're going to do what God told you to do. You see, the vision has an appointed time. And when that time comes, nothing's going to stop it from coming to pass. I say to you, the whole thing about the healing of the broken heart is not just about you. It's about the vision, the plan, the purpose God has for you to be a rebuilder, to be a restorer, to raise up foundations that have been devastated in the lives of other people. We had a young high school boy come in his senior year to Victory Christian School from Illinois.